For many centuries Hyperborea was considered a fictional country. Only ancient scientists spoke about it and praised it in the works of ancient writers. But everything has changed. It is now known for certain that Hyperborea once existed. In the XX century, scientists found evidence of this. It became a sensation all over the world. Now the assumption that Hyperborea is the ancestral homeland of the Slavs has a foundation. The people of the Slavs are much older than the Egyptian pyramids and are so numerous that they populate half the world, says the book The Slavic Kingdom, by the Italian historian Mavro Obini, XVII century. Unfortunately, written evidence of the existence of an ancient people has not yet been found among the Slavs, but there are traces of an ancient civilization in the Russian north, and this is already a scientific fact. There are medieval maps on which you can see the image of the mainland in the north. More on this here. These maps show that in the north there was a rounded mainland, divided by rivers into 4 parts. You could even say that it was a group of very large islands located around the North Pole. There are many such cards, but Gerard's card is best represented. Mercator, 16th century. The image on the map is very detailed. There are forests and hills. Some scientists, for example, Professor Valery Alexeyevich Chudanov, believe that at the moment part of Greenland is what is left of the once large mainland. Superposition of the modern map and the Mercator map on top of each other. According to some researchers, Mercator copied this map from the wall of one of the pyramids of Egypt. He himself could not compile it, since in his time Hyperborea could no longer exist in the form it is depicted on this map. There is also an image of the mountain of the ancestors of Meru. This universal height was at the North Pole. According to declassified information, a mountain was discovered under the water of the Northern Ocean in Russia. A very high one, touching the ice cover. In addition, the ancient map depicts a strait between America and Asia. Interestingly, the Russian navigator Semyon Desnev discovered it only in 1648. Some engravings also have an image of Hyperborea, as well as in the works of Yakov Gakkel, a famous Soviet cartographer and oceanographer. In his research, he confirms the existence of civilization in the north, and also believes that the descendants of the Hyperboreans were the Eastern and Western Slavs who settled in the Scandinavian peninsula, as well as in the northern part of continental Europe. Hyperborea is the Greek name for the continent of Daaria. Hyper means at the very top, or the highest. Borea means north. Boreas is the north wind. Thus, Hyperborea literally means located in the very north. Here is an ancient map of the world, which depicts the mainland Hyperborea, Daaria, located at the top, at the site of the North Pole. On the top of the map is written, Orbis Terrae Compendiosa Descripto, which means, globe or map of the world of the earth. Of course, maps in the 16th century and earlier were compiled using older maps. And just as now we can see the map of Mercator and other cartographers, so the cartographers of that time used someone else's more ancient works in their works. And this nuance leads us to the fact that the original publisher of maps with the North Pole could personally draw them up, having been there. And if he was able to visit there, then this is also proof of the existence of Hyperborea in those distant times. The existence of Hyperborea is also visible in our time on a satellite map. The 2009 maps, below, show a snapshot of the ocean floor with rows of equidistant pyramids of the same configuration underwater. But as soon as this discovery was made, the pyramids strangely disappeared from satellite maps. Someone really does not want to lift the veil of secrecy? Why did Hyperborea cease to exist, and where did it go today? Where is she now? It's not hard to guess, underwater. She sank. Its territory is almost completely covered by the waters of the Arctic Ocean. But in some places, there are still places where its pieces have been preserved, and there, of course, there are also its artifacts. Many nations have preserved myths about the ancient beautiful land on which paradise was built. Homer described Arctida as a highly developed civilization with its representatives, giants with Slavic features. Their height was 2.5 meters. And here is how Pliny, the elder, ancient Roman writer, erudite, describes Hyperborea and its inhabitants. Civilization lives near the Arctic Circle, has its own culture and is outwardly similar to the Hellenes. The Hyperboreans are a happy people, living to a decrepit age, having amazing legends. There the sun does not set below the horizon for 6 months. The whole country is flooded with sunshine. Favorable climate, no cold wind. Groves and forests serve as dwellings for people. They do not know disease, strife, hatred. A person dies only when he is fed up with life. The northern peoples of Russia in their traditions, myths and legends have preserved the story of the flood. Henty, Mansi, Sakhalin Nivkhs, Nanais tell a very similar, for each of these peoples, myth that in very distant times a fire came down to earth from the sky, from which the waters rose, flooding the northern shores of our continent, and then a severe cooling set in. Most likely, this was the same catastrophe that flooded Hyperborea and caused glaciation in the north. But the Hyperboreans themselves managed to escape and resettle in time. They left their mainland for Russia, which used to be called differently. Some of them remained to live near the Ural Mountains, and someone went to Europe. So the Hyperboreans gradually dispersed on the large mainland of Eurasia. The catastrophe that occurred with Hyperborea, Daaria, had a cosmic origin. There is a version that there were more moons above the Earth than now, and one of them was destroyed during the space battle of the gods and aliens. Its fragments fell to the North Pole of the Earth, after which this catastrophe occurred. Paleontologists and oceanographers in Russia and the United States believe that the climate in the north in those distant times could well have been different. From the XXX to the 15th century BC, the climate was different everywhere. Even the Sahara Desert did not exist then. Of course, there was no polar ice, and the ocean waters were warm. The North Pole had a temperate climate that was favorable for human life. Birds still have a memory that it should be warm in the north. This is genetic memory. Scientists are still observing the annual migration of birds to the north. And, perhaps, everything is there. Somewhere there is land for them, to which they fly away. There is still evidence of the ancient civilization of the north. It is here that the artifacts of Hyperborea are found. These are megalithic masonry, the remains of ancient structures. A labyrinth was discovered on the coast of New Earth. This labyrinth is a very important artifact of the existence of an ancient civilization in the far north. It is this artifact that proves its artificial appearance, made by the hands of ancient people. It is known that Hitler, like Stalin, believed in the existence of Hyperborea. And the Germans were sent there for research, and ours also did not lag behind. By order of Dzerzhinsky, 3 expeditions were sent to the north. 2 of them went missing, and the third returned, and brought some evidence of the existence of an ancient legend. Soon the leader of the expedition, Barchenko, was shot, and the rest of his group disappeared without a trace. We still do not know what they found there, and why they were removed. But, most likely, somewhere in the archives under the heading, Secret, this information is stored, and for some reason they are in no hurry to declassify it. So there is something to hide. Every day there is more and more evidence of the existence of an ancient civilization in the north of our country. But the more we learn about it, the more questions arise. And the most important question, who are our distant ancestors, and where did they come from? No one doubts that Arctida is related to the history of ancient Russia. Revealing the secrets, we learn more and more that the Russian people and their language are connected with this disappeared country. I believe that one day the people will know that the archives of the KGB, the dungeons of Tibet and the Vatican and the pyramids of Giza are still kept. When the truth finally breaks out, it will change the perception of the last millennia in the history of all mankind. Perhaps the Hyperboreans will turn out to be not only the ancestors of the Slavs, but also the ancestors of the entire human civilization. And the Hyperboreans themselves are probably the descendants of space aliens from other planets, and somewhere out there, in the far reaches of outer space, there are highly developed civilizations that are not only similar to us in appearance, but also in blood. Who knows? Apparently, everything has its time. Thank you for watching and subscribe to my channel, bro. Let's share the truth to everyone.